All right, I have just arrived on a new job site. It's about 5:30 in the morning. The sun is just trying to peek up in the background there. And what we have here is a property here in Fort Mojave that we're going to be doing a carport. We're going to do the foundation for a little carport right over here. Here's this metal building here. Right over here, we're going to do a 12 by 25, 300 square feet. We can build a 300 square foot structure without getting a permit. So it's kind of nice that you can still do things, you know, on your own property. I mean, and not have to get a permit. So that's 300 square foot, detached, no permit required in the county, Mojave. Electric's a different story, but we're not doing electric. All right, David Odell here with Odell Complete Concrete. I have my brother out here helping me on this one. Like I said earlier, 12 by 25. I've got the outside stakes in. These are a little bit over. That way I'm going to over dig around the perimeter. That way I don't have to come back and try to excavate again. I'll have plenty of space to get my lumber in. And I have the laser level set up. And we're trying to match that other building level, but I didn't set that foundation. So it seemed like that foundation was too low for this property. So I didn't really want to match it because all the water would have just sat unless you lowered the whole property. So you never want to have to lower the entire property. It's better to build up and just let the water come off of the foundation rather than having to dig around it to cause a swell to get the water away. So I ended up coming up. We didn't match the other existing foundation. I set this one a little bit higher, about 3 inches higher than the existing. We are 12 feet away, so it's not going to matter a whole lot. And like I said earlier, you don't need a permit for this, which is nice. So we're 12 feet away, but you don't have to be 12 feet away. There is no distance. As long as it's unattached, it's good. Like you could be against it or near touching it. As long as they're not attached, that's considered unattached. So that falls into that 300 square foot, no permit category. We've got a little water going. This is going to be a level foundation because it is for a shed or a carport. In this case, it's going to be for a carport, but either way would work the same. So this could be your shed slab. In this case, it's a carport. And 12 by 25 is ideal for a carport. So we set the laser level at grade. And then as I'm grading it out with the tractor, Doug is checking the elevation to make sure that we're at the right spot. We've allowed for 4 inches of concrete, plus we're going to do a thickened edge around the perimeter. This particular carport would be supported by a 4-inch slab without any thickened edge very easily. But we're going to do a thickened edge because I want to put some anchor bolts in here. And I want to get about a 5-inch embedment on my bolts along the perimeter. So I'm doing about an 8-inch deep around the perimeter. And you can see how I'm digging that out with the tractor. You don't need an excavator or a hoe or something like this. You can just turn your tractor and scoop it out. And that's what I did. Although I am using a 2x4, which means I'm going to get concrete squeezing out the bottom on the pour day, which is okay. That means it's just going to be stronger. But I will have to get those forms out before the concrete completely sets. Also, the steel stakes I have to get out before the concrete completely sets. Otherwise, I have to cut them off and those steel stakes are gone. So I'm just using 2x4s on this. And 2x4, most everyone is using the pressed board out here because it's so dry that these typical wood just bends, bows, and doesn't last that long. But I'm doing pretty good with the 2x4s. I think it's all about the form oil that I put on them. You'll see me applying form oil to these. It really preserves them. It keeps them nice. They're very light. Like if you go to Home Depot and pick some lumber out, it's going to be heavy. But if you lay some lumber out here for a few days, I mean, it's a lot lighter. Because we're dry. This is Arizona. Here's how you form it up. I did a 3, 4, 5 on my string lines on the corner. And then after we got her set up, I double checked the diagonal We weren't perfect, I have to admit, but we were within a ½ inch diagonally. So I thought, well, that's pretty darn good, and we'll go with that. That means you can build on that real easy, and you wouldn't even know it. This is just your native soil right here in Mojave Valley, where this is located. You're going to get a chance to meet the owner of this property. His name is Terry, and I thought it was interesting to take a look at his Jeep, so I'm going to show a little bit of that. 1950 Willie right there. That's real steel there. Is that a 6-cylinder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inline 6, 4 liter.
Oh, that's that good engine that they made, that Jeep made, huh?
Yeah.
It's a 4 liter? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
4 liter, yeah. That's the best engine Jeep made, huh?
Yeah, I think it is the best engine they made. They made some shitty engines.
Yeah, this is their best one. So this thing runs just as good as any modern vehicle right now.
Yeah, it's way upgraded. It's a pretty comfortable.
But it just looks it looks classic, but it has the ride and all the you know, comforts of a new vehicle.
Yeah.
Terry's a retired mechanic, so he does a lot of amazing stuff with vehicles. I mean, your average, like me, for instance, I'm not going to convert something like this, but he does it all the time. Using wire mesh reinforcement, this is the day of the pour. It's early. Like I was saying, we're about 5:30 a.m. The sun's just starting to peak up. We have Eric on the wire pulling, and we have Brandon, the editor, cameraman / labor in emergencies only, on the camera. You can see the forms, how wet those are with that oil I sprayed on there. And that's going to preserve them a lot out here in the dry heat. I've got my 12-inch aluminum screed, which stays nice and straight all the time. And this mix design is a 1-inch minus on your aggregate, and then it's a 2500 psi. It has fiber mesh. Also, I've added 1% retardant to the concrete. That buys me about an extra hour work time. Here's how I like to tap 2x4s. Saves you a lot of bending over, just if you get a long enough scrap piece of wood. And then wood on wood, of course, you're not damaging the wood. So, you know, steel on wood, you're going to damage your corners of your 2x4s. But when you hit it with the same material, you don't get that damage. You notice how we poured it out right on the money, with not a lot of excess here. We also scraped the chute because I don't like a lot of spoils to have to transport, get rid of. So we get that right on the money, right on the end. 4-foot magnesium bull float, which is what you want to use in hot weather. You want to use mags. You're gonna throw away your wood floats in the summer out here. Just go mags only, because you're going to help seal it up, buy you a little more time to work that concrete. The quicker you get it sealed up, the better off you're going to be out here. Here's your 14-inch wide, 1/2-inch radius walking edger. You notice we're using all steel round stakes. That's based on the terrain here. Mostly you got a lot of rock that you got to drive stakes through or in between. So round stakes will get in those nooks and crannies and move the rock a lot easier than a flat steel stake or a wood stake. That's just firewood out here. Notice those orange poles. Not too many people have those. You don't see those orange ones around. But I got those from Concrete Accessory. The reason I like those is because they're easy to see laying on the ground, and no one else has them, so they can't mistakenly take them, because they're completely different color. 2 joints going across, and so each section is 8 feet 4 inches by 12. Here's your Arizona. It's a wider joint than a lot of different types of joiners that you use. It gives you a little bit wider opening or wider crack. Really easy to control, and they stay right in the hole the whole way. It isn't falling out. In other words, once you get it in the groove, it pretty much stays there. You get those narrow ones, and it gets difficult to keep it in there, keep it in line and in that crack. But this particular joiner just stays there. Real easy one to use. Great for beginners too. Here's Eric. He's kind of setting some bolts right now. And the way we've done this, this is going to be a steel modular. And the way it works is you got a steel plate along the entire bottom on both long sides, not on the ends, because you're going to drive through it and just get underneath it and get some shade or whatever. But each place we're putting those 2 bolts is right at a T upright for your verticals, a T off of your plate. So we have a bolt on each side of that T. Really optimal setup right here to really hold down your verticals to your roof. Also, Eric's girlfriend came out here to watch the action, just like everyone else, and that enjoys watching concrete getting laid down. Here's a funny float right here. Notice how those lines, it's leaving like lines in the middle of the float. That's because we scarified the bottom of that. We kind of put notches in the bottom of the float just to bring up a little more cream is all that does. This was a little amazing what Brandon did here. I mean, he really surprised me on this one. He actually got into dumping the wheelbarrow here.
Hey, that's funny. I was just telling the lady last night on the consultation that if she needs any other calculations, I have a calculus major that works for me. She goes, and then I said, you know, he comes out on the job. She says, oh, does he work for you? Do the labor too? I said, no, he doesn't. He doesn't push wheelbarrows. He pushes pencils.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
But now you just grab the wheelbarrow.
Hell yeah!
And so like
fucking dirty now.
It took the words out of my mouth.
You're disgusting dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta go to work like this.
That's what Dave said. You know, the dirtier you get, the better you'll be.
That's right. That's how this work business is for sure.
So basically, the consultation was the new thing I just started on my website, odellcompleteconcrete.com. I had somebody already enroll and get me on there for an hour for a consultation on their own project in the state of Georgia. I walked her through the whole process dealing with the contractor that was doing the job and what to expect and how to do it. So if anyone needs a consultation out there, feel free to book me in.
Look, you know anybody's got an edger like this? Odell.
Oh, that's your edger, huh?
Yep, afraid so.
So here's Doug out on the boards. He's got his metal sliders. He's working a square and a pool trowel. So he's hitting it with that square, getting it flat, and then just skimming the tops. That way he doesn't leave trowel marks. But what I end up doing inevitably is hitting it with the funny trowel one more time. There's my little 4x12 multi-purpose trowel. Here's Eric stripping out the stakes. Nice thing about those round stakes, they're a lot harder to bend than your flat steelies. So you can hit them back like this and they're not going to bend on you. Then the more you hit them, the more the concrete falls out of the hole, so you can still get a nail through them later. So here was me funny troweling it after Doug had went over it, just making it a little bit more crispy for the broom. Here's your 100% nylon broom, brooming it out. I was going to do a smooth finish on this, but it's not totally enclosed. So he wanted to do a broom finish because you will get wind, water blowing through here because you're only going to have a roof on this. And that's about it for shade, basically. Now here's how you get the forms off. You notice how I damaged the wood already right there? That's not good. That means that side can never go in towards the concrete again. That wood always has to have one side use only. So you can see all the concrete that mushroomed out from the bottom. It's going to inevitably make it stronger, especially on the ends where he drives up and over. Using a curing compound here, the curing compound is going to help it from cracking. It's going to lock that moisture in the concrete so it can't evaporate as quickly, get a better cure on the concrete. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Turned out beautiful. Terry's very happy with it. Make sure you hit the like, share, subscribe. That way you'll be notified as soon as my next video pops. Have a good one. Bye.